2025 was a big year for Wellspring because we were able to complete our Southeast Apartment project. That project added 51 units of affordable and supportive housing to our Wellspring portfolio and allowed us to add 51 high need homeless individuals uh, to our caseload and provide supportive services to them to help them come off the streets, get housing, and get the support that they need to keep that housing. We were able to get federal dollars through Metro Louisville and through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in order to make this happen. And we worked for 3 years on this project. So opening the final property in summer of 2025 was a big deal. We also were fortunate to get some rehabilitation dollars from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to help to restore and preserve a couple of existing properties that we own. One is a property on Baxter Avenue, and the other is in Crescent Hill. So we now have two properties in Crescent Hill, but both of them needed a lot of TLC. And through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we were able to really make those properties much, much nicer. Of course, to complete these projects, we had a project manager. And just last year, we decided that he had gone beyond the role of project manager and was named as our housing director. So that was an important step forward for us. We separated the role of housing management and supportive services for supportive housing supervisor. And the two of them work very collaboratively. And that's also turned out to be just a great programmatic and organizational decision. Also working with Woda Cooper. Woda Cooper is a housing development company. Working with them on a project called Bridlewood Crossing has been exciting. It's going to be really, really nice. It's very high quality housing. It's due to open in March or April of this year. It's 75 units, I believe, total, and we get Wellspring 23 units set aside for our clients coming from homelessness and experiencing serious mental illness. And with it, part of the icing on that cake is we get a case manager. So that's built into that partnership. So we'll have a case manager on site. But the property itself, I think it's going to be fantastic. It's for 55 and up. It's got an elevator. Every apartment is ADA accessible. We're excited about it. Can't wait for the ribbon cutting. On the programming side, we've been very active, as you would imagine. We have completed a 5-year SAMHSA grant last spring. So that was a grant that served homeless adults with co-occurring serious mental illness and substance use disorders, and all coming from homelessness. And the great thing about that grant was not only helping our staff gain the tools to work with those individuals, but it was a capacity building grant. So we were able to bring in experts in the field to help train staff across the agency to be more effective in working with people with co-occurring serious mental illness and substance use disorders. Presented a national conference about this program and its successes. So that was in partnership with the Kent School of Social Work, which we really loved too, working with an academic institution like that where they were performing research while we were providing services. We celebrated 30 years of providing crisis stabilization services in this community, with the first CSU opening in 1995. So that was a big milestone and an exciting time. We've served thousands of people over the course of those 30 years. We've added a second crisis stabilization unit, so we now have 2. The CSUs are unique in the community because they're not hospitals. They are residential, though, and they're staffed there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing the kinds of supportive services that our clients need to stabilize, to start to feel better, to move further along in recovery. They're in home-like environments, and so we like to think that that's part of the whole therapeutic impact. When a person walks through the door it feels homey. So that it's an immediate sense of relief. This is not a hospital. This is not an emergency room. This is like home, and I can relax here. We have psychiatric nurse practitioners, licensed clinical social workers, counselors, art therapists, peer specialists, and residential counselors on around the clock. Another project that we've been working on that's exciting is what we call the PAD program. It's a post-arrest diversion program. We actually started it about a year and a half ago, but it really it's been gaining traction, serving more and more folks who are coming out of the jail with serious mental illness who don't need to be incarcerated, but who do need treatment. So we've got a team that works very, very closely with those folks, works closely with the jail staff, works closely with the judges and the courts. The idea is to plug them into the kinds of resources that they need and get the supports in place so they don't end up back in jail, because that's not a good place for people with serious mental illness. One of the exciting things that we were able to do this past year is hire an HR director. And we needed an HR director because we've expanded significantly. We have 115 employees. We have more and more programs, a lot of complexity. And having somebody in that HR role has been a long desire for the organization. It's part of our most recent strategic plan, getting an HR person, because it's easy to want something and to know you need something, but then deciding how you're going to pay for it is something different. So we were fortunate to get a grant from the Legacy Foundation, which allowed us to hire, I think, a dynamic HR professional. And this year, of course, there's challenges too, as there always are. One of our challenges this year was the loss of our CFO, who had been with us for a decade. That position needed to be filled, and it's a pretty key position. And we were really lucky there too, because our previous controller had just finished her MBA, and she was ready for the next step. She was ready to become a CFO. She knew the organization well. She has got a great background in healthcare and grants, and deep knowledge of this organization. So it was great to be able to hire a new CFO who could come in and hit the ground running. And our board of directors. Just mention that our board has expanded this year. We've got a lot of great new members on the board, bringing a lot of new talent. It's I think, positioning the organization well for the present and the future. And sadly, though, we also lost one of our long time board members, George Rapp. George, who was on the board for decades. And George's depth of understanding of the organization, its finances, where it's been, what it was doing, and where it could go was critical and sage advice always. So it's great sadness that we lost George. Our relationship with Metro Louisville has continued to get stronger and stronger. We've worked closely with the Metro Corrections. In fact, we're even doing quarterly trainings with Metro Corrections as part of their rotation when they're bringing on new staff. But we have staff going into the jail on a regular basis, and really have worked to develop that relationship. We continue to work closely with the Coalition for the Homeless. This has been a challenging year because HUD has a new administration, and priorities are changing at the federal level in terms of how housing and services for homeless adults are provided in our communities. So we've been, as a community, and all the partners of the coalition and the coalition itself, struggling to understand, what does that mean for our community? And how do we work together? How can we work closely to try to keep people from falling through the gaps as these priorities shift? Wellspring is unique because we focus on people with serious mental illness. There are other organizations that start with focusing on people who are homeless. And not everybody who's homeless has a serious mental illness, but at least a third of the people on our streets do have a serious mental illness. So that's the population we're focused on. And whether it's someone who's in homelessness or and needs housing, or whether it's someone who needs crisis stabilization, or whether it's someone who needs the chance to leave jail and try to rebuild a life in the community where they have a role and a home. The thread that runs through Wellspring is our focus on serious mental illness, people with serious mental illness. That takes us in a lot of different directions: housing, services, employment, supported employment, um, social opportunities, because people with serious mental illness often are isolated. So how can we help people with serious mental illness be more a part of our community? Because they do have gifts and they do have strengths and they do want to be part of the community. We just need to help people have opportunities.